I met James in Brea. I went to Brea High School. It was both of our first years there. I think it was made even more overwhelming because this was back in 1980, and the flavor of the day was punk rock. We were both, the only kids there with long hair back when I had it. So there was kind of an instant, oh, hey, you got long hair. Hey, you got long hair. Yeah, that probably means, you like metal. Turns out, we ended up liking the same bands. And turns out that, we both played guitar, had an interest in the same type of music. So within a day or two of school starting, we were already getting together and jamming. There was a paper called The Recycler, and it was like Craigslist in print. And I went through that and I saw this advertisement, drummer just moved from Denmark, likes Deep Purple and Saxon and Judas Priest and Diamond Head, and I'm like, whoa, man, I've never seen anybody, mention some of these bands before. So I called them up, and lo and behold, talking to the guy, it was like, oh, this is great. That ended up being Lars. He was kind of on this channel to become a professional tennis player, and but his heart was, playing music. But he had just started, so he really wasn't that accomplished on drums. And so James and I went down to audition him. Every time Lars would do a roll and hit the cymbal, the stand would fall over. We'd have to stop and pick the thing up, or try to play music with your foot holding up the stand, and so that he could hit the cymbal and it wouldn't crash over. It was pretty embarrassing. I was accepting. James wasn't. James was like, nah, this guy sucks, and it's not going to work. And so we did not create much more than a handful of jam sessions. Although I stayed in touch with Lars and would go down there on my own and play. I would come home, or actually when I'd go to bed, I'd throw on headphones and listen to Diamond Head or Priest or what have you. What I'd be doing is laying there, and I would be envisioning me on stage playing the tune to whatever audience it is. The summer after James graduated, we had talked about trying to get put a band together, a heavy metal band, and go to England and get signed. James and Lars and Ron, they had all graduated high school. They're already out. We didn't think that metal was going to be that big in the States. We thought that if there was going to be success, we needed to be in Europe. Lars and I are jamming, and James and I are jamming separate because I was having a hard time getting them together. But the whole idea, my mission was to try to get us together because I thought that all of our musical tastes were great. And the whole mission was to get the guys together and then go to Europe, and if we had to live out of a van, we'd live out of a van, and try to get a deal. I do remember a knockout, drag-out fight with my father on it, and I was going to drop out of school and go to Europe with the boys and try to get signed. His response was, your chances of success are 1,000,000 to 1. And I just, like a smart aleck, turned back around to him and I said, but I'm 1 in 1,000,000. And he kind of stepped back and he looked at me and he had that sort of, all right, Mr. 1 in 1,000,000. Well, here's the deal, go to Europe with my blessing. But when you fail, not if, when you fail, what you've done is you've made an adult decision that has adult consequences. So now you're on your own. I'm 16 years old, barely. So I'm not gonna bail you out. You got to figure out now what you're gonna do with yourself. And that was probably the first times like, oh, crap, I don't got a safety net. Don't have the support of the folks. That was probably that point where the fantasy became a little bit of a reality. And maybe for the first time, some real thought of, well, what if, gosh, what if I'm, in my mid-30s and the whole thing doesn't work out and I don't have skills, they announced over the summer that they were going to do, Metallica was going to do their 30th anniversary show. So it turns out that they want me to come up and play, and I'm shocked. I haven't touched a guitar since in 30 years. This all occurred in roughly early November. The shows were early December. So I had about 30 days of a notice of doing a tune with them, not knowing what the tune was going to be, and preparing. I actually got a text from James around Thanksgiving telling me that the tune would be Motor Breath, which was one of the songs that he and I wrote together. Saturday at about 4, I went to the Fillmore again, and they were rehearsing, and got up on stage. Dave Mustaine was there, and later Ozzy Osbourne was there. That was pretty exciting. And we ran through the song one time, and that was it. I was nervous, and I was nervous leading up to the show, and a lot of it was having not performed since 81, 82, and so not knowing what to expect, and not knowing for the longest time what the song was and so forth. Just everything kind of came. There was so much unknown all the way almost to the day of the show that I wasn't sure what to expect, so it was kind of nerve-wracking. He came out of his dressing room. We were in this lobby in the backstage, and didn't even say a word to me. Just came out and gave me a big hug, and probably like 30 seconds, 40 seconds, and just kind of rocked me back and forth and stuff. It was pretty overwhelming. And then sat and talked with me and the family for half hour, 40 minutes before they went on stage, and they were already running late. So that was the first time that he and I had spoken or seen each other since like 82, 83. It was almost like finding a long lost brother, because we were best friends in high school. We really had so much in common, and I suppose if there's any regrets at all, it would be that because we were such tight friends in high school and had so much in common, that if and this is a big if I had stayed in the band, and the big if being, and didn't muck things up to the point where they would have enjoyed the success they've had with me, or a reasonable fraction thereof, and as a best friend, we could sit back and look at the journey together, and go back to when we were practically brothers in high school. I think that would be, the money and the fame and all that stuff would be great, but I think that the looking back in that journey would be amazing. I didn't know how I was going to react. Sometimes in a public setting, when you have to speak, you get overwhelmed with this sense of adrenaline, where you aren't relaxed, and difficulty breathing, and it becomes painful experience. And so some of my anxiety is like, okay, gosh, man, I hope that doesn't happen. What I wanted was to have a situation where I was on stage and can control that feeling of being overwhelmed, and just kind of drink in this whole experience for the 3 minutes or so that I was going to be on, and really enjoy it, because it would, it was a once in a lifetime thing, perhaps. And surprisingly, going up on the rehearsal, I was relaxed, and going up on stage, I was relaxed, and I took out of that just about everything that I wanted to in terms of experiencing it. Enjoying being on stage, looking at the crowd, seeing the smiles on their faces, and just playing with Metallica. But now you know, I've started sitting down and playing again, and you know, it's a long uphill climb. It's definitely not like riding a bicycle, but I hope next time they come to Southern California, I can hit them up and do it again. That was fun.